Hey, and welcome back to engVid. Today we're going to be talking about the great and wonderful game of golf. Now, it has been said that golf is a good walk ruined, but I'm going to be showing you what a wonderfully intricate game it is, and it's also a very important opportunity that some people take to make business deals whilst engaged in doing something kind of enjoyable and outside, and actually a lot of important conversations and negotiations take place over a game of golf. So let's understand this game. Now, to be able to have a game of golf in the first place, you need someone to play with. You can play on your own, but you're not going to have an amazing conversation. And you're also going to need to practice so that when you do play golf, you're not spending your whole time in the bush, but that's another story. So get yourself a golf buddy. What could you say? Well, you could say, hey, I was wondering if you fancied a round of golf on Tuesday. So a round of means a game of, like one go round of the golf course. Another way of phrasing this, we could have, what about a round of golf on Tuesday? The other guy, the other girl is all over it. They want to play. You've got yourself a game. Fantastic. Put your bag in the car. Put your golf clothes on. What do I wear? Put golf boots in the bag. Everything. Driving there, driving there. Ah, there's my golf friend in the car park. We need to have some small talk. We need to have a little bit of a chat before we play. It's not just bag out, game, hit, ball. No, of course not. It's a social occasion. Hey, Roger, lovely to see you. How are you? I haven't seen you since. When was the last time you saw your friend? Everything okay at home? How's ask after a particular family member? Small talk over, we're kind of getting our equipment ready. We're kind of walking over to the tee. I should write that down for you. Tee. You tee off. That means you hit the ball from. It's the kind of the square bit of grass, the beginning bit of the hole. Okay. So we're talking about the rules. We're agreeing how we're going to play. Now, you might say something like, what do you play off these days? Now, this is a difficult idea. It's related to something called a handicap. So handicap basically means how good you are. Now, in a full game of golf, there are 18 holes. Let's explore what this idea of a hole is. We have the place you start from, and you have to hit it to, this is called a green. Okay, green. Okay, this is the tee, this is the green. Okay, now it's all done on how many shots it takes you to get from here down the hole. Okay, so there will be an expectation of how many shots it takes to complete each hole. Typically 3 or 4 shots to do a hole. And a handicap is about your sort of average, how many shots does it normally take you to complete a round of golf. That's a simplification. So this question here, agreeing the rules, you're trying to find out how good are they? Are we about the same? So there are different ways of playing based on whether you are the same ability as that person or whether there is a difference. If the person is the same ability, you might agree to do stroke play, which will be the total number of shots it takes you to go from here to here on all 18 holes. It's quite a sort of competitive, it's lots of sort of writing down the numbers after each hole. So it's a bit serious, that. match play, perhaps more fun. So after each hole, you go, well, who won that hole? Brian won that. So Brian is, where shall I write this? He is 1 up. Okay, that means he is winning by 1 kind of bit. Okay. Stableford, that's another complicated system, but basically for each hole you get some points based on how well you did in that particular hole. So maybe you got a 2 and you would get like 3 points for that hole. You can play golf with a group of 4 people, foursomes. And now there are different ways of doing this. So you've got 2 teams of 2. You could just take it in turns. Brian takes first shot, then Philip, Susan goes first, and then Samantha. Okay, so you're only using 2 balls. But the most fun bit in golf is teeing off, because that's when you get to use the big fat club and go bang, okay, and hit it as hard as you can. So everyone wants to do that bit. So you could do best off the tee. So you've got 2 teams of 2. Each one of them hits the ball, and whoever has hit the best shot, you're going to use that ball, and you pick the other one up and put it in your pocket. Okay. So we're now going to look at some technical golf jargon, technical words like bogey. Right, let's learn some more about golf. By the way, if you're enjoying this video and learning something, I'd just like you to press subscribe. Right now, you're probably one of my loyal subscribers already, but in case you aren't, subscribe now and think about sharing this video with a friend of yours who might enjoy it too. Okay, so in golf, the hole is classified as a par 3, a par 4, or a par 5. This means how many shots should it take to complete the hole. Now, if the hole from beginning to end, from tee to hole, is less than 225 yards, then technically you should be completing the hole in 3 shots. If it's a par 4, it's a slightly longer hole. A par 5, longer too. Now, we have these 5 terms here to describe whether you got the recommended number of shots, a few more, a few less. I'm missing one here, so I'm just going to grab my pen. Here I am. We need one in here. Par. Par for the course. Now there's various different sort of phrasal verbs and idioms to do with par, but par means normal, okay? So that means a par 3, you did it in 3 shots, it was fine. Actually getting a par is really good. Now if you do really well, then you get a birdie. So for a little short hole, that's doing it in 2 shots. Okay, so you're getting 1 under the recommendation. If you get it in 2 shots under the recommendation, then that is an eagle. Eagles are very, very rare. Can you guess what an albatross is? That's right, it's even better than that. It's 3 below the recommended number of shots for a hole. Like, it's quite extraordinary. For like a really, really long one, you do your big drive, it goes, I don't know, 250 yards. And then you've got another long shot to go to the green, and you get that shot and it goes down into the hole. Okay? Albatross, quite exceptional. If things don't go quite so well, you might be talking about some bogeys. Okay? Bogey is when you get 1 over the par for the hole, and a double bogey is 2 over the par for that particular hole. Now, lots to learn. I know there's a lot to absorb, but luckily we're going to create an amazing fun quiz for you to do after the video so that we'll just be checking that you're remembering these things. Okay? Types of clubs. Now, golf actually originated in Scotland, where they just sort of had like some old bits of wood. So the term for the club wood comes from that. These days, they're more likely to be made from metal, titanium or some kind of graphite. So the woods are the big chunky things to really hit the ball a long way, okay, for these longer holes. The irons, the club face is like this, and it's to do with different angles, to do with how far you want to hit the ball. So if you want to hit it a really long way, then trying to work out how this is going to be easy for you to see it. So you want less of an angle, so you want it like that. So if you go like that, bang, it's just going to go a really long way. Whereas if you kind of angle it, then it's going to go sort of more up in the air. Okay? So 3 iron, it's very flat, and it's whereas right down here, the 9 iron, you're looking at about a 50-degree angle to make the ball go up and not quite so far. We also have wedges, a pitching wedge, go whoop, boo, or a sand wedge, not a sandwich, a sand wedge. Because sometimes to make it more difficult, yeah, we're trying to get there and we're all the way down here. The person planning the course knows that we want to go here, and they're going to put some bunkers. That means places for sand. So to get out of the bunkers, we use a sand wedge because it's really low and you've got to get up over the edge of the bunker. Right. Etiquette. Golf is one of those things where there are lots of rules and regulations, and I'm not going to bore you with all of them, but just give you some general guidelines. Most courses, although I have played with my wife once wearing high heels, you're kind of meant to look sort of smart casual is probably what I'd say. So a pair of chinos, some golf shoes with spikes, yeah, with the metal bits that go into the ground, and a collar with a shirt. Okay. Don't turn up in sort of jeans with loads of holes in and sort of chains and that kind of look. It's quite sort of traditional and old-fashioned. Best to sort of leave your phone on silent or leave it in the car. It's not the kind of place where you're like, hello, Bill, what's going on? No. We don't want phones on the course. A divot. A divot is where you go up and you dig a hole accidentally kind of in the ground. Kind of happens naturally, but sometimes you take a little bit too much of the earth out, and then you have to be a gardener and you have to get your divot, put it back into the ground. Okay, so when you go digging, repair. Can be very annoying golf when it goes wrong, but instead of getting your club and going and blaspheming and swearing, you got to take it. You got to go, okay, and you got to move on and be good-natured about it. Where to stand. So you're playing with someone else. Yep. They're about to take their shot. Where do you think would be a dangerous place to stand? Yeah, sort of about there. Sorry about that. Okay, so you always want to make sure that the person hitting the ball can see you. And really they should be sort of behind you rather than in front. Which brings me on to this very useful phrase here. If you hit the ball and there's someone maybe on a different hole over there, and your shot is suddenly kind of going in the wrong direction and it looks like it's going to land on the lady captain's head, you shout, 4! Okay? And what 4 means, it's an abbreviation for before. It means, you there, before, or in front of me, there's a ball that's going to hit your head. Move! Okay? So we say 4. Great shots and bad luck. This is the first stanza of a poem called Seaside Golf by John Betjeman. The poet was not an especially good golfer, but he enjoyed playing in a beautiful part of England called Cornwall, which is and this particular course was near the Atlantic Ocean, hence Seaside Golf. This is all about a remarkable hole where, for once, everything went right and he was really happy. Okay, so it's talking about his tee shot, his first shot. Okay, when he's used the wood, it probably was a wood that he used. How straight it flew. Yeah, the ball is flying through the sky. How long it flew. Okay, it went a good sort of 200 yards. It cleared, that means it went over the rutty track. Okay, rutty meaning sort of bumpy. And soaring, so we think of a bird going, it disappeared from view. Yeah, he can't even see it anymore, it's gone so far. Beyond the bunker's back. Okay, it's even gone over that sand pit, the bunker. And now we have some adjectives. A glorious, sailing, bounding drive. Okay, look how positive this vocabulary is to describe this amazing shot that made me glad I was alive. And there we have our double rhyme at the end of the stanza. Now, I'm going to be continuing to go through this poem, Seaside Golf, in my lesson on how to learn a poem. So check out that video after you've watched this. And if you do want any other help with your English, you can check out my website, honeyourenglish.com. I quite like this title, Hone Your English, because it's also honeyourenglish.com. Panic! Help! We need help! Okay, you might not need help. If not, just carry on watching my videos and I'll see you in the next one.